So we keep this pretty conversational. As we were talking, was like, what's the Joel behind the Beachbody? Like, how did you kind of get to where you are, the entrepreneurial spirit that you have and stuff like that? So kind of, we'll dip into that first and then kind of get into Beachbody a little bit, if that's cool. And then,
whatever, open book, man. So,
okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess let's just start it off. How did you, tell us your story leading up to getting involved with Beachbody. Were you always into fitness or?
Yeah. So, that it does get asked a lot. How did I end up where I am today as a Beachbody super trainer? That's our, official title. I didn't come up with that. But that's what they call us. And it's a long time coming. I'm celebrating this month, 10 years with Beachbody, which is crazy. Time flies in that regard. But I started in the health and fitness industry when I was 19, was going to college at Texas Tech and just needed a job. And so I started working the front desk. It was the graveyard shift, the 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. shift at a little gym in West Texas. And that honestly was what kind of just started everything. It wasn't anything. It wasn't for a career. It wasn't for a passion. It wasn't, it was never a conscious decision to be like, all right, I'm going to be a personal trainer. I'm going to be a super trainer. I'm going to do group exercise. It was, for me at the time, it was just follow the money. When you're 19 years old, you're doing whatever you need to do. And I had, I've been bartending and framing houses and kind of going to school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in college. I mean, I left 3 years into it because otherwise I would have just I was going to graduate with a degree in general studies. So what are you going to do with that? Besides, that's like a doorstop, a really expensive doorstop. So, left 3 years into it and just cause I had no clue, but, what I did do from that position is just start moving my way up in the ranks in that industry and became a, morning manager and then, sales manager. And then, over the years, if I went from Texas up to Washington State and lived in Seattle area for 8 years, it just started getting more. I just got more and more into it. It was just always having conversations with people, always learning, always looking into new opportunities and following those opportunities and as I would make those connections, another opportunity would come up and I would take that. And then it was never scared to jump into a new opportunity or say yes. And it was always, even if it was a gamble, it was like, okay, well, I can always go backwards. I can always go back to this job or I can always go back to this job. And that's honestly even, I found myself in 2012 taking, or late 2011, moving back down to LA, originally from here, and taking a job with Gold's Gym, Southern California franchise as their Group X director, then became their marketing director. And then through all that, I'd been doing a lot of stuff with Beachbody already. Then the CEO called me and asked me if I wanted to be a super trainer. And he said, you've already got a connection with the network. You've already got all these different things. And so he's like, hey, what do you think about this? And at this time I was like, all right, can always go back. So I said, sure. And now, 3 programs, two of them solo projects. And one of them, Lift 4, is still top of the charts 3 years later. So it's a hit program. So, it's worked out pretty well, but it always comes back to, I tell people, having the conversations, not being afraid to have the conversations and making those connections and friends, because you never know where they're going to end up. You never know what's going to come out of that.
Yeah. Where do you think you got that from? Like, was it growing up or did somebody influence you as you're growing up to like to move to Seattle, like not being afraid to move?
Yeah. I don't want to say, not really. There wasn't much of that. I feel like it was taught. It was just always my personality. I was always the outgoing kid. I was never afraid of making friends. I can make friends anywhere. My wife laughs at me. She's like, you'll make friends anywhere you go. And I will. I just have no problem. And I think that's why I was such, I was a great bartender. I had a lot of fun bartending. I kind of miss that every now and then because it was so much fun. And, just having that personality of not being scared to talk to people and make friends with people. And then I was also always really good about reading people and understanding, the mannerisms and versus, so I wasn't always just saying the same spiel at people. I was talking to them, actually talking to them, talking with them and learning about them. And so that really helped. So, it's just been years of doing it, but then also, I tell people all the time, it's just, sometimes you just got to listen. If you listen just a little bit, you're going to hear pretty quickly what people are asking you or what they need from you, even if they're not asking you a question or anything. So it's just kind of been years of doing that and and doing it wrong. I'm not going to say it's definitely not all been unicorns and rainbows. There's been some pretty dark times too, but it's always coming through it. And again, not being scared to take that next leap and take that next step.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were at Gold's Gym and Beachbody reached out, you had already built up kind of your name in Beachbody. Was that from primarily slinging Beachbody product and like shakes, or?
No, I was never a coach. So my first in with Beachbody was back in 2011 or 2010, 2011. 11 is when we actually filmed. And it was September. So that's why it's been 10 years. And we filmed a program. I was doing some work with, and teaching group exercise with a company called Les Mills, which is based out of Auckland, New Zealand. They're a group exercise choreography company, Body Pump, Body Combat, all over the gyms across the world. And I was teaching group exercise classes for them. I was, managing those programs at my gyms here at Gold's. And this was even before Gold's. So I was up in Washington still, and was over there doing some photo shoots for him in New Zealand. And Beachbody and Les Mills were talking. And long story short, with that, I was basically asked to be one of the trainers on that. It was a ensemble cast, though. There wasn't a super trainer per se. It was 14 of us from all around the world. So in doing that got me into Beachbody. So we went to my first Beachbody Summit, 2012, I think in the summer of 2012. And then through that, even though that partnership with Les Mills dissolved, by that point, I had been into Beachbody already. The coaches knew who I was. Started doing super weekends before that was even a real thing. So, I was kind of at the forefront of a lot of the networking with coaches, the way trainers, which has led to the way we do things now. At the time, it was very, very different. And now it's very much more of a hands-on thing with the coaches. So that's how I already had that in, and the coaches knew me.
Cool. Did you think it was going to take off like it has? Like, was there a certain point where you're like, oh, this is going to take off?
I saw the potential for it. You never know if it was actually going to work, but I definitely saw the potential, which is why I said yes to it. And, I had a really good job at Gold's, marketing director. At that point, I'm just 29, 30 years old, and the marketing director. So for a franchise, that's a hell of a job. So, at the time, Brianne and I were dating at the time. So, we talked about it and told her, got her opinion on it. And it was just like, we could always go backwards. But I knew that it could be a really good way. It could be a good next step if we did it right. And, been lucky enough in terms of working through it and having the right conversations. And now it has worked out, because it's gotten me to the point where I'm at, which is, it's about the pinnacle that you can get in health and fitness. But, it's not to be said, a lot of long hours and a lot of late nights and a lot of, things that nobody ever sees behind the curtain to get things done, and the filmings and all that stuff we do. But, I had a feeling that it could be big if we did it right.
Yeah.
Or if I did it right.
Yeah. That brings up a point too. I think you posted something a few weeks ago. I think somebody asked you about something about you're always showing you're out doing something fun or awesome. You just you responded saying, we don't see what goes on, like how much work goes into building a program,
right?
How much work goes into that. So that's kind of what got me thinking too. I was like, well, let's let people know about that. Like, the hours that you put in the filming that goes into it's got to be.
It's unreal, man. I mean, there's from a program standpoint, I kind of work, I joke about it. I work every other year. But you almost kind of need that. And because you can burn out so quickly, and it does happen, so the time I had between, let's say, Lift 4. So Lift 4 was a fairly, I want to say, easy program to write from the standpoint of Carl, the CEO. He and I knew exactly what we wanted from day one. And it was a very basic weightlifting program. And we knew we were going to keep it basic and effective and all this stuff. So it was fairly easy to write. Fast, but that still was, 8 months of development and testing, and we run test groups and we go through everything. And fast forward to 10 rounds, a year goes by, and then we start talking about 10 rounds of the boxing program. And I knew that was going to be a challenge because, there's other boxing programs out there. I wanted this to be original, but yet unique and still simple, but yet live in the world of boxing training, which is the world I live in with my trainer. I still box with her twice a week. So that was It was a bitch to write. It really was. And that probably took me, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to write. Worked with my boxing trainer, worked with some other people, and we just kept starting over and over and over again, like multiple times, like where you just literally, you're writing something and you just crumple it up and you throw it away. And we test it. We would write something and we test it. We're like, that didn't work. We'd write something, we test it. That didn't work. And we were probably a good solid 6 months, 4 to 6 months of that. So it was, and, a lot of frustration, a lot of, back and forth, and even talking with the CEO, he's like, are you going to be able to do this? I'm like, yeah, I just like, we're going to get it. I know it will. And then one day it clicks, so, but yeah, that was from 10 rounds, from start to finish. That was, about a year solid of nonstop every day writing, testing. Then we obviously, we traveled, we were on the road for 6 weeks straight. We didn't come home to film that program. It was a lot. So, like, spoiler alert, I cry on the last workout because it was intense. It was a lot, but we got it done. And it to me, my opinion, unbiased, but still one of the best boxing programs to date because it is so real and raw in that sense. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into what we do that no one ever sees it. And it's also like, say social media, my buddy said it a long time ago, and I've taken it from him and borrowed it and said, I'm going to use it because social media is a highlight reel, man. You don't see everything every single day. Plus people don't want to, they don't want to see all of the junk that you go through every single day. At least I don't think so. And my followers follow me for, I like to try to have a clear, like for me, I know what I want to share and what I don't. And so I might have a list in my head of, 5 to 10 things that you're going to see on a daily basis. And it's going to be my workouts. It's going to be, the cats and, my car and my work. Like, it's just going to be this finite amount of things. And the rest of it, that's on me. And I don't share that. And I think everyone needs that. I think you need that personal space, because for me personally, as well as social media, if it wasn't for where I am in this position, in this career, I probably wouldn't even be on it, because I would much rather be doing other stuff than showing other people what I do. I don't really give a shit about it, or posting, or, I forgot to do a story. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. So I could really care less about it, but I know that it does help people, and people are inspired and motivated by it. So, I use it for that.
Yeah.
So when you're not developing a program like Lift 4, what are you doing in that year off? Are you still working with Beachbody and staying connected, or you're like, I'm coming up on my next year, like I got the ideas, like?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. It's definitely staying connected in the coaching network. Team Beachbody coaches, those are my people. Those are the ones that they're like directly under me in terms of, they're the ones that go forth and sell the products and help people. It's like, little foot soldiers almost. And that's what's great. And I always kind of compared it to like a funnel upside down, like is you've got Carl and you got the top tier of Beachbody, then you guys trainers, and then you have Team Beachbody. And so that's how we reach more people. So I spend after we launch a program, I spend a lot of time doing a lot of coach calls and connecting with coaches and really helping them understand the program. I want to replicate myself. I want to replicate my knowledge and pass that knowledge on about my program, because then they can talk to people and help them out. I'm not trying to hold it secret. My job is to write the program, make it awesome, and then teach other people how to show why they need it. So I still stay very connected from that standpoint with the coaches. We do events, events are going to pick back up, but a lot of coach calls and constant just posts every day about it. And so that's how I stay. I use my social media knowing who my audience is. I know the majority of them are coaches. So, I try to post things that are going to help them, that they can forward and pass on as well. So that's from the business standpoint. And then the daily standpoint, I have a lot of fun. I take advantage of that year in terms of having the freedom of the schedule. Last year we did a ridiculous amount we did dirt. I dirt bike and jet ski and snow ski. So in the wintertime, I think the guys and we did 6 different trips, hit 6 different resorts last year. And we're going now I'm back in work mode, also because I know that once I get back into work mode, I got to dial that stuff back because I can't get hurt. So, I'm not going to be able to ride a dirt bike for another year because I can't risk that. So, I try to get it all when I can.
Yeah. Well, the freedom part, that's awesome. I mean, that's exactly why we're doing this and making the Fighting Fire podcast, bigger. We've got LLC and stuff, but really the core is this: we want that freedom. We both have wives and a couple kids and just enjoying that freedom when you get it.
Yeah. Being stuck in a cube is it's not
good. Look, it's horrible. I worked for the Washington State Department of Health for 4 years. I've had a cubicle job, so I know what it feels like, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
There's one more question about social media. I'm just because you're so down to earth and just you, and I think that's why like you have such an awesome following. Does like Beachbody, like how do you stay up with like what your followers are doing? Like here's the new trend, or like TikTok, or maybe whatever's after TikTok. Like is that or is that like Beachbody saying, hey team, like be aware, here's the new trends that are coming? Or
the Beachbody social media team, there's certain aspects of what we do is Beachbody ambassadors, if you will, that the rest of, for me and the rest of my team, we have obligations with Beachbody that we do just like anybody else who's ambassador for a company. So, we will do posts and things about the not just the products because we have an obligation to it, but also we use them. We all use the supplementation and Shakeology. And so, we post about that on a monthly basis. If there's a new product, we post about that. And that's what Beachbody lets us know. In terms of the new trends and new things, that's really on us personally. And, some people are better at than others. I think I'm kind of like in the middle of the road on it, where I am constantly on Instagram. That's my main platform. That's the one that I've just gravitated towards, feels the most comfortable, makes the most sense to me, and has worked out. So I use that one more than anything. I don't use Snapchat. And then everything I post on Instagram goes to my Facebook fan page or like page anyway. So, and that's really it. I just kind of watch I watch what's going on. I follow a lot of coaches, and, you look through the reels and you see what's going on, but like every now and then they'll be like, hey, this thing's trending right now. And I'll listen to it. I'm like, I absolutely despise that sound, so I'm not going to use it. So, I think for me, it's very much a sticking to that uniqueness and that originality and the voice, and just saying, look, you guys, this is me. Like, and because now, especially more than ever, people know if that's your voice or not when you post it on your page. Right. Yeah. And, they know if that's a sale post or not. And even if it is, like, at least, try to make it not sound like one or something like that. So, and I also, for me, I get hit up daily, my DMs daily on advertising and, hey, post this, or, hey, we'd love for you to respond. We'd love to pay you to do this. I say no to all of them. Even if I use them, even if I use that product, half the time I say no. I think the only one that I do on a monthly basis is Cara, the pills, just because we were already taking them before and we're like, sure, why not? Yeah. But aside from that, I'll say no to all. I'd rather, like, for shirts, I'd rather just buy the shirts myself and not have to post about it. Like, I don't mind tagging them. Like my swim trunks are Chubbies, and I'll tag Chubbies and they'll send me some free stuff sometimes, but I don't do it for the free stuff. I just say, like, hey guys, I like this, and that's it. I don't want to ever have that page or make people feel like I'm doing that. If they want to know it, they can ask me, or they can look at the tag, but I'm not doing sales. It's not my interest.
Yeah. You have your brand too, like your personal brand, and we get from here and there, we'll get like, hey, partner with us to do this. We're like, well, good. Yeah. Just shows us like, that's not our brand. That's not
right. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, my brand is, we do a lot of stuff with, or I have, like, what we do is on a daily basis with my guys. Like, if we're dirt biking, so obviously, we do a lot of stuff with Fast House, and, they send us t-shirts and it's like that type of stuff, but we don't, if there's a discount code, we'll throw it on there, but it's not trying to say like, hey, go buy this shirt. Yeah. I just don't give a shit about that stuff. I really don't. I have the same shirt. Fast House is the only reason I have new shirts. Otherwise I'd have the same shirts, for years.
So I'm going to jump back to maybe your programs or your success with Beachbody. What do you think it is? What is your superpower, would you say, that's made you so successful with your programs?
It's a good question. I think that I think they've been so successful. My solo programs have been so successful because I come into it with the mentality of realism. and I write the programs and work with the team. There's obviously a whole team at Beachbody that we, everything's vetted through and, everything like that. But, I always put up at the top every time we start working on something, I say success and simplicity. And, I've worked with in the gym industry, I worked with everyday people in terms of anybody who has a 9-to-5 job. And, from a personal training standpoint, the people. So I've heard over the years in the gym, I heard every possible barrier to health and fitness, whys and how comes and all these different things. And so I think about those things when we're writing these programs. And I think that's why Live for instance, is, still so successful almost 3.5 years later, because it's a lifestyle program. And that's what I want to make. I want to make programs that people can continue to do. You don't just do it for 8 weeks and you never do it again. It's a lifestyle program. It's an evergreen program. It just works for people. It just gets them into some sort of consistent healthy pattern that works for them. And so I think that's what it is. I think I bring a level of realness and in the writing and the programming, and then also and then when we film and just have some fun with it. And I tell people, like, when we're on set and stuff, I'm like, okay, guys, remember, this is a fitness product, so let's not take it too seriously. Like, we're going to be serious when we're filming, because we only do one take. But before and after that, man, my stages and my sets are parties. We have fun because it's like it's a fitness video, for God's sake. Let's enjoy this.
So you only do one take, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah. We only shoot one take. That's how they call it real time, because we only do it one take. Right. Sometimes we've had to cut before, like 10 rounds, we had to cut twice just because Mike and G, two different instances, like they cramped up. So that's, it's like we had to stop. But if we do that for any reason, we just pick right back up where we were a few minutes later. We restarts it used to be the old school way in DVD days, was because there was such a finite amount of workouts, only like 10 workouts. The practice was for it to be uber polished and perfect. And so, we would film, like when we did quarter force, we'd film it. And then as we're filming it, you had like 10 people taking notes of like, okay, this time spot, we got to redo this and this. So we had to do pickups and wild lines and all that stuff to get it like polished. So I think people, that worked then, but now with the streaming, we can do a different workout for every single day. And that's what we do now. So I think people enjoy the real aspect of it. And I like doing it. It makes it more fun. I know they'll go back and they'll cut things if they need to, in terms like, so even when I flub up trying to say something and I don't know, the words come out wrong, I'll just stop. I'll re-say the exact same thing. And then they can go back and they can just edit that one little spot, but just camera angles and stuff. But for the most part, we do it one take. I hate stopping, because then you lose your energy. Right. You lose your train of thought. And, so most of the time we just do it one take, Jake, and just get done.
Nice. Cool.
You had mentioned barriers. You've heard every barrier. What's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody who has a lot of barriers about working out?
You know what? It's at the end of the day, you have to find what interests you. That's the number one thing when it comes to fitness. You have to find those things that you actually look forward to. Like, I look forward to weightlifting and I look forward to boxing. Like, my schedule is kind of crazy right now. My normal, I box Wednesdays and Saturdays, right, with my trainer. Tomorrow, normally I would box at like 10:30. I can't, because I have a bunch of meetings. So I'm getting up at 6 so I can box at 7. And it's like, it wasn't even a thought. It wasn't even a like, oh shit, I gotta get up early. I was like, all right, done. So you got to find those, you just got to find the exercises. You got to find the disciplines and the things that you look forward to. And the minute you start looking forward to, even if you get your ass handed to you, which I do on a weekly basis, I still can't wait for the next one. And that's the number one thing, is you just got to find what speaks to you. And because if I was told I had to go for a jog tomorrow, I just wouldn't. I hate running. I absolutely hate running, but there's people that love running. So right. That's really what it is coming down to finding that thing that you look forward to. And then when you do, you won't make any excuses for it. You're going to find the time to do it. We all find time to do the things that we want to do. if you find something that you actually look forward to or you enjoy in the fitness aspect of it, whether it be boxing or jujitsu or weightlifting or whatever it is, then you look forward to it. So I think that's the number one thing is you got to find what really speaks to you and what you're going to enjoy. And then everything else will just fade. All the other barriers are just going to go away. I promise you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What, I know you can't say what's going to be released, but there's anything for you or Beachbody that's been released? Anything exciting you want to share?
We're always working on stuff. Obviously we can't ever say this is what's coming up next.
Right.
But we are, what is exciting right now, that everyone knows about and that we're working on, or most people know about is BOD Interactive, Beachbody On Demand Interactive. So we have BOD, Beachbody On Demand, and now we have BODI, Body, which is the interactive element of it. And it's in beta right now. We're testing through it. It's the coolest stage I've ever worked out on. It's all individual 12-inch LED screens from, 3 panels or 3 huge walls, and the floor is the same LED so they can change it to anything they want. The environments, they call it, when they change the screen, it's just so cool. So the programmers are working their asses off on it. We're testing classes left and right. We're teaching classes on that. And it's cool because now people can go in and be a part of what's called the podcast. And so they pop up and I can see them and they're working out behind me real time. And then I've got my team in my ear saying, hey, we're about to pop up Ryan on the right side. I'm like, hey, Ryan, and there you are. And I can see you and I can call you out and I can see what you're doing. So it's cool. I can look up, I can correct form. So it's very interactive from that standpoint. It's the first time that, it's not the first time that a company has done it, but it's definitely the first time we've done it to this level. And, so that's why it's taking a lot of testing, a lot of beta. We're looking to launch late fall now. We pushed it out because you're just going through so much technology and so much on the e-commerce side and everything. But that's what's coming up and it's currently happening. So if you have BOD, you basically just need to upgrade to the Nutrition Plus subscription. That gives you Body, and you're in. And it's really cool. And you can see the schedule and you can do classes. So that's really the big push right now for all of us that we're working on. We're doing the live classes here and there and just seeing what works. And we're trying different formats. And that's what's so cool about that from our standpoint is it doesn't tie us into having to stick to a program. BOD is program from start to finish, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. These are one-offs. So it allows us to kind of get the creative juices flowing in a different direction of the people that are going to come in for one class versus having to commit to a program, because there's both types of people out there. So this is just allowing us to go after a whole different market, a whole new group of people who want to do those one-offs. And, and we're bringing in a lot of new, they're called body trainers that are just teaching the classes. And, so they're bringing a slew of those in and, all different times and everything. So it's really exciting. It's looking great.
Dang.
Cool. That's awesome.
Would you say you're living your dream right now? How
could I not be, man? How could I not be? I got everything I need. That's for sure. And more than I could ever want. So it's great. And, to have a job that you truly enjoy and it doesn't matter. I like my wife knows, because she knows, like, if I don't have much to do, I get grumpy and I get crazy and I find things to do. So I love being busy. I love getting just like right now, just everything with Body and all this other stuff that we're working on is it's nonstop every single day. And I love it, up early, late nights and just getting it done. But I love that. And so, I'm very, very happy to be where I am right now.
Awesome.
Well, I know we're coming up on your time, Joel, but this has been awesome, man. Thanks so much for replying to my DM and agreeing to do this. And this has been great.
For sure, man. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. And keep it going. I'm loving it.
I got one more bonus question.
Okay.
What's one thing that no one's asked you, or maybe what's one thing that nobody knows about you?
I don't know, man. That's the thing. I'm pretty open. I think one of the things that I think some people know, because it's been, talked about over the years, but one of the things, like for me personally, just because I have been in health and fitness, that's just looking a little nuanced. So I've smelled some bad BO in my life in gyms and stuff like that. And I have, that to me, that is the most offensive smell is somebody else's BO. The people that would come in, they wouldn't wear deodorant. And so I have such a huge aversion to BO, and I'm definitely afraid of ever smelling bad myself. So I have in every single one of my bags, I have deodorant and I have cologne. And I apply deodorant like 4 times a day because I'm just deathly afraid of that smell. So it's like an obsession now to make sure I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, I'm always like every time, like before my workout, after my workout, it's throughout the day. Like I can feel myself pitting out right now, just talking about it. So I'm going to have to apply more. So that's definitely my little nuance that
awesome.
I always have to smell good.
Yeah, of course. And you're out in LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, out in LA and the land of ridiculousness.
Fair enough. Well, when me and Ryan make it out there, we're gonna look you up. We're gonna come.
Absolutely, hit me up. We'll have some whiskey.
Done.